Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to an impromptu live feed. I don't know what we're going to do today. I don't know if anyone's going to show up. It's a little late tonight. Usually my feed would have started 2 hours ago instead of at this point. But yeah, the feed is starting now. The feed is starting now because I did just do my workout and everything. So I'm done that now. Come up here, do my feed. Yeah, I have opened up some beer news. I don't know if I'm going to read any of it, but some is open. If anyone joins me, we'll talk about whatever. Again, like usual, the panel's free to you guys to join too if you want to join. And if you can't join, go ahead and ask questions, comments, concerns in the chat box, and I will get to them. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure what we're doing tonight, so ask any questions you really want to know, and I'll field them. I'm just quickly looking at one last page for any beer news that I might want to talk about. And once I'm done with that, we will get going. We'll check first if anyone said anything after I'm done this here. And yeah, we'll go from there. There's not much new, it doesn't look like, in the that one we'll have to talk about because I knew something would happen with that. Yeah, that doesn't look like there's much going on. There's a whole bunch of new brewery things here to talk about. So I opened a few of those, and we'll go on from there. Okay, time to go check if anyone has said anything. If anyone's here, I know nobody's here, but we'll see if anyone said anything over here. No, nothing. 4 of you watching. Good day to all 4 of you. Beer Core Droid. Actually, that's one of the topics I was gonna touch on tonight. I actually just had that news cross my desk. I just had that cross my desk about 4 hours ago, so I haven't even had a chance to read it yet. But yeah, well, that is something I'm going to touch on for sure. Because I found it amusing myself, but that's me. Are any of you guys drinking anything tonight? I have a few beers out. I'm going to start with a Sleeman Clear just because it's here on the floor. And I'm going full on ghetto and drinking right from the cans today. I'd have a plastic paper bag over them, but I don't have any paper bags in the house. Well, actually, that's a lie. I have one KFC paper bag downstairs that I've been using for garbage collection. Okay, so because you asked about that, I do have that news article open. So let's go quickly peruse that news article that it came across earlier today for me. So Northern Maverick scrapping fake news ale and Trump-related branding. So soon to open brewery Northern Maverick Brewing has announced that it will be scrapping its flagship brand fake news ale following a social media backlash. Originally unveiled earlier this year, fake news ale features a caricature of Donald Trump on its label and was being promoted with red baseball caps with the text "Make beer great again." See, that's awesome. Parody of Trump's "Make America Great Again" slogan. A contract brewed version of the beer has been available at events and select licensees over the summer, while Northern Maverick Brewery and Restaurant was being prepared for its upcoming opening. As evidenced by the fact that partial proceeds of sales were to be donated to charities such as LGBTQ rights group EGAL, the beer and branding was intended as anti-Trump satire, but with Trump's reaction to the recent events in Charlottesville casting him in even more of a negative light than usual, the branding had been receiving increased criticism on Twitter and other social media platforms. Here is a full statement from the brewery, compiled from a series of tweets sent earlier today. So they pulled it because they got backlash for making fun of Trump, and he looks worse now. Okay, what's this? With regards to the escalating situation across the border and feedback from our own craft beer community, we have decided to pull fake news ale. The idea behind FKA has been very clear from the moment it launched, to shed light on the unfathomable actions and policies of the current administration and help people adversely affected by them. While FKA will no longer be available, we are deeply committed to our charitable partners and will continue to raise money to support causes that help reverse the impact of these administration's actions. Okay, so they're still going to donate money to the charities, but they pulled the name because it's looking bad down there. But they had the name for the sole purpose to bring awareness to what was going on down there. So, Beer Corduroy, to answer your question, what I think about it is, if you actually were using that brand to bring attention to it, pulling the name, taking the name out, is actually kind of doing the opposite. It's looking the other way and trying to make it look like, nothing's going on down there now. Oh yeah, because it's getting so bad down there, we can't even say anything about it. I don't know if you're going to use it as a talking point, as a satire piece, as that sort of thing, then you don't pull it just because things got worse. You bring more attention to what's going on down there to make people want to make a change. Because if you don't, nobody's going to want to make a change. Our world is like that. They're not going to make a change unless they have to. Yeah, I would understand that idea. Good move, bad move. I mean, good move because there's going to be a lot of people that attack them just for having anything attached to Trump at all, and bad move again because you're running away from bringing attention to something that you said you felt passionate about. It's a weird situation, but I mean, excuse me, it's a cartoon caricature of Donald Trump. I would have thought, maybe Donald Trump was suing them because, he does that type of stuff. He found out about it and he threatened to sue them. Then I could see the pulling it, but pulling it because Donald Trump is an idiot, I can't see. Well, and that's just it, Record Droid. I mean, that's the reason. As much as people don't like hearing about the things I talk about, as much as they don't like hearing the heart to heart with the Rhino stuff and all that, I keep talking about it because our society, our entire society, North American society, a lot of European society, if it's not pushed into people's faces over and over again, it quickly leaves their mind because we're a society of quickness, right? We're a society of, oh shit, my phone went off. Oh, okay, and it's gone. Then it's gone. Oh, it beeped again. Oh, it's gone. Like that's what we are. We're everything. Even information is disposable right now. So it's one of those weird things where if you don't push your agenda, if you don't push this information into people's faces, they don't care. It's just the way it is. And I find it saddening that the brewery who was saying that they were very, very passionate about that would so quickly abandon it because of things that are going on down there. Because the worse it gets down there, the more you need to push this into people's faces that something has to give, something has to change. Well, the worst part about being a not even open brewery yet is that beer was selling. That beer was selling fairly well, and at events and at restaurants it was selling. And if they're going to pull it and change it and everything else, well, now they've gone and they've changed their branding before they've even opened. So now they lose some of their consumer base. Well, a lot of people don't like to mix their craft beer and politics. I mean, I personally don't either, but every once in a while something is going to come up. I mean, how many craft breweries in the US have ended up closing or lost a lot of business because of things they've done, either due to racist things or sexist things or things like that that have happened down there. So I mean, there are a lot of breweries that haven't learned that, and I mean that's why I'm saying like these guys made this conscientious decision to market that way. So that was your choice, and you did it for almost a year before you pulled it, and that's where I am right now. Like I understand that you're about to open and you don't want anything harming you once you open, but you made this choice months and months ago and ran with it. You had hats that said "Make craft beer great again." You already mixed your politics and your craft beer. Now, when you open, if anyone was actually really angry at you with the disposable society we have as well, and with the 270 so breweries that are going to be in Ontario by the end of the year, people just won't go to you if they've already been angry about you. They won't give you a chance. So your damage is already done. And now the people that actually did like your beer might not come and try it because they think everything has changed. It is a weird place. I mean, it's a catch-22. Which way is the better way to go? So I do fully get that. I do fully get that. Yeah, there's stuff like that that always goes on beer corridor, and that's the thing. Like I said, like there's so many breweries out there that say things or do things, and they don't get just the way things are. So if you're going to make that decision, you either live by that decision or you don't. And there are some breweries that actually lived by their decision of being racist pricks in the deep south, and their breweries ended up closing. Like it's just a look at what was it? Oh, if Lee was here, he'd know the name of it. There was that brewery in Nova Scotia who was taking pictures of girls he thought were fat and ugly at bars, and he was the brewery owner, and he was posting them to the brewery's Twitter feed, and he took a huge slack for that, and his brewery lost a lot of business, and they're still not back up to where they were before. Like people don't get that everything you put on the internet is there. I mean, every time I talk about mental health, it's there for good. Even if I delete the video, it's still there somewhere. It's floating around. Like anything you say or do on the internet is going to be there, and anything you say or do as a business is going to be somewhere on the internet. So it's just a weird thing to me that people still don't get it. Just like a seriously weird thing to me. Stop barking at each other. I don't know if any of you guys are going to get these, but Nickelbrook has the four new Berliner Weisses out, the Ubers, and I'd love to get all four of them, but I won't be going to Burlington, seeing as I don't have anyone to drive me there anymore. But yeah, there's the cherry Uber, the yellow plum Uber, the apricot Uber, and the blue plum Uber, and the nectarine Uber. And yeah, I would love to try all of those. The cherry Uber sounds amazing. Yellow plum and blue plum sound interesting. Apricot sounds awesome, and nectarine sounds awesome. And then they also have peach coming back, but I've had peach Uber before. I just don't care. I know one of them was released last week, and they were releasing one a week up until they're done. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, some of you guys get some, and I can hear how they were. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, of the brewery, Beer Core Droid. They were one of the Nova Scotia has like three edgy breweries that think they're cool because they're edgy, and it was one of those three. Um, I can't remember which one. One of them was Bad Robot that ended up having to change their name. One of them is I can't even remember the other two. I could probably find them online. Yeah. What else we have over here? Silver Stacks Brewery is opening in next year in London, so London's going to get another brewery. And they're opening at the 100 Kellogg facility. Excuse me. What do we have here? The London Free Press. Silver Stack Brewing is being established by Matt and Kristen Buckley, a couple who also own Tobermory Brewing. Did the rules change? Are you allowed to own two breweries now? Because I know for a long time you weren't allowed to own two breweries. I'm gonna have to look that up, because that's why things like here in the Falls, why Taps in the Syndicate, one was in the son's name and one was in the grandfather's name, because they couldn't have two brewing licenses under the same name for different companies. And I know that's why like, I know you can have more than one location for the same brewing license, but I didn't know that they changed it so that you could own more than one brewery. So I'm gonna have to look into that. But I think no, Tobermory Brewing Company is an actual brewery. It's not a contract brewery. It's the other ones that are contract brewers, the ones on Manitoulin. It's probably a new peach recipe, Jace, but I just don't care. Good day, Mr. Angus Wangus. Beer Court Droid, I love their the raspberry Uber. I didn't really care much for the peach Uber myself. I wish he still made the cherry unique, which is what I'm hoping that the cherry Uber is like. The cherry unique was the old cherry cuvee they used to make. Hey, Kensington Brewing opened today. Well, opened yesterday. They opened yesterday in Toronto, so that took, what, 4 years for them to end up opening? It was a long time of them doing work. They opened up selling some new beers, too. 650 milliliter bottles of 7 brands on opening. Nash Vienna Lager, Levend Belgian Kettle Sour, Bon Fame Belgian Triple, Wagon Jobber Wheat IPA, Gamel Grisette, In the Weed, West Coast IPA, and Fish Eye IPA. So actually, that's all 6 new ones and their one mainstay. But yeah, it took them a long time to open. I remember when I first started doing beer-umentaries, we were in Toronto and we were talking to them, and they hadn't opened yet, but they were already working on that same location. So it's been a long time of work there. Yes, I love the raspberry as well. I love the raspberry. My ex loved the raspberry Uber too. And yeah, like I said, I'm slumming it tonight. Yeah, I hope to visit Kensington as well, but again, I don't have a ride anymore, so who knows if it'll happen. Hey, Haldimand County. Where the hell is Haldimand County? It's somewhere in Ontario. But Concession Road Brewing is opening in Haldimand County. Oh, it's Jarvis. Okay, I know where Jarvis is. Okay. So Concession Road Brewing is being launched by Jeff and Shannon Bunton, a married couple who live in nearby Cayuga, located in a former fire hall at 17 Talbot Street East in Jarvis. You'll notice that almost every single city or town in the Simcoe area, in Simcoe County, has a fucking Talbot Street. Tillsonburg, Elmer, St. Thomas, Jarvis, Simcoe itself, they all have a fucking Talbot Street. The brewery is being established using equipment purchased from Mash Paddle Brewing in Brantford. Mash Paddle did just put in their new system. I hope that these guys know how to weld and stuff, because there were a few problems with mash paddle system. So hopefully they can fix them before they start going on. But the Buntons tell the paper that they have several beers in development, including a line of flavored saisons to be released under the Saison du Monde series, a brown ale called Downtown Betty Brown. Isn't Downtown Betty Brown the Amsterdam one? Or is that just Downtown Brown? Amsterdam has a Downtown Brown, don't they? I'm not making this up. I'm not on crack, am I? And an IPA. And if Amsterdam does have a Downtown Brown, they'll end up giving them a cease and desist, because Amsterdam is actually the king of actually trademarking beers for craft breweries. They usually trademark everything they make. So if I do remember that correctly, they'll get a cease and desist pretty quickly after opening. Beer Core Droid, any new standout beers for you? I had a couple at Project Brew that were fucking amazing. The Molten Mango, the Lassie. The Lassie was really good too. The Chili Sweet Toothed Invalid, which was a mint chocolate stout, was an amazing beer. Those were all standouts from the 20 beers from those students. Other than those, the Raspy Engine from Harvest Doom was really good to me. I haven't had a lot of really good beers lately. I've been killing what I have left in the basement, so not all that much. Joe, Jace first. I like the Ensign by Mill Street. I looked at the red Ensign last time I was at the LCBO, but I wasn't going to pay $11 for it. I put it back. Average Joe making an alt beer as their flagship beer was Mash Paddle's issue. Well, that could be it. Beer Core Droid loves a good saison. Amsterdam Downtown Brown. Okay, so yeah, I was right. Beer Core Droid, yeah, the mint chocolate stout was dope. And yeah, some of those beers were really good, and some of them not so much. I was chatting up one of the students. His name was Christian. He made the Golden Delicious, and it was a really good beer. It just was way too bitter on the back end for me personally. And he was talking to me about it. He's like, well, what? He sent his mom and his sister to listen to what I was saying about it while I was reviewing it. He's like, you see that guy? Follow him. Go tell me what he says. They came and they snooped and they went back, and then I went and talked to him. I'm like, no, look, commercially, I think this beer will sell out everywhere. It's a great beer for what it is. It's just not for me, and that's perfectly okay. I mean, I love IPAs, but I love like the full-on juicy IPAs. I don't like the like his was basically a New England IPA mixed with a just like regular American IPA. It was very woodsy and bitter, and like caffeine pill like bitterness, like very, very resiny, but it was also super juicy, and it was that resininess that just turned me off on it. But I mean, it is what it is. A lot of people love that. I just don't, and I know commercially it would do very well. Pills are yummy. Used to know a Downtown Brown. Used to hang around downtown Belleville selling shitty hash and weed. Everybody knows a Downtown Brown. I'm pretty sure. Intriguing things with that. But yeah, so I'm gonna wait for the news article once these guys open in Jarvis about the cease and desist, because that'll hit the news too. This autumn in Alberta, in Black Diamond, Alberta, Hard Knocks Brewing will be opening. About these guys a little bit because they had a little bit last week because they were having some problems. They were having a lot of zoning issues, but it doesn't really say anything other than them opening up in autumn. They were supposed to open up this spring. Aveling Brewery opening next year in East Toronto. So Toronto's getting another fucking brewery. Yeah, a new brewery and restaurant will be opening next year in Leslieville. Isn't there a lot of them even in just Leslieville area? I'm pretty sure there's like 6 in that area right now. I'm gonna have to go look that up too. Aveling Brewery is being founded by Max Mayen, a brewer and former chef who worked in several breweries in London, England before moving to Toronto. So that could be good. Maybe you'll see some milds and stuff since it's an English brewer that's going to be there. But located in the former food distribution center at 1042 Queen Street East. Yeah, so there are a bunch of breweries around there next to Pope Avenue. Aveling will include not only a brew house and bar restaurant, but also a rooftop garden that will be used to grow ingredients for the restaurant kitchen, with a portion allocated for a community garden. They're currently working on the recipes for their core range of beers, which will include a Saison, an IPA, a lager, and a Baltic Porter. They'll be serving seasonal beers, as well as one-off brews for special occasions with a focus on using Ontario-grown products. Okay, sounds intriguing, but I mean, there's just so much in Toronto now. So much in Toronto. Just so much in Toronto. And then what date was this posted on? This was posted on August 10th, so last week, the weekend, basically Thursday, the day after BDU. Clear Lake Brewing opened in Torrance, Ontario. Torrance, Ontario. It opened up with a cranberry radler, a session ale, and an IPA. Okay. I would be interested in the cranberry radler, and it also has a wood-fired pizza oven. Nice, intriguing, intriguing. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff over here from you guys. Let me come over here and read this shit. Optical illusion is my new addiction. Oh, so you left the St. Ambrose, did you? Jace, have you tried 12 Minutes to Destiny? I have tried 12 Minutes to Destiny. I love that beer myself. And actually, I really liked Barley Days Hibiscus Raspberry as well. They actually did a good job on that. Beer Core Droid, the high resin malt bombs aren't my thing. IPAs with a good malt bill need to be dialed in to be enjoyed, like Forefather Session. But the grainy, gritty tropical IPAs are my favorite these days. Yeah, me too. Mr. Angus Wangus tried a smash bomb today. And yeah, Jay, so much in Toronto. So much in Toronto. It's ridiculous how much is in Toronto. You know what? And I mean, I really thought that the lime radler from Plan B was a nice change of pace too. Their key lime radler. And that was one that really intrigued me as well. And I was really happy to try. Oh, next, I'm going to drink a land shark, baby. Going to drink a land shark. Yeah, I have a lot of macro beer in the fridge. I've had some guys over from some of my therapy classes. I made some new friends in my therapy classes, and I do get them to try craft beers, but I always have some macro beers here now just for them to drink in case they don't like craft. And no, they're not like some of the guys that used to be in the beer review that just come and drink my stuff. They always bring stuff with them too, and they leave it here so the fridge is stocked for the next time they come. So it works out for both of our sakes. What should we read next? Should we do any more of these? I mean, I was going to do these with a panel here, but I mean, you guys can give me your feedback instead. I mean, that works too. Oh, at Niagara College, at the Project Brew, I got to meet Dow. Dow is the guy that runs the U.S. Open, the U.S. Beer Open. Really good, great guy. Albino suit. So it is what it is. Oh, Anderson Brewing Company, which is in London. They will be doing their 1 year bash coming up. They will have 20 beers on tap for that. 20 beers. 20 people. 20 beers on tap. 20 beers on tap. So, yeah. I would actually love to go there and try all 20 beers. But again, it's on Saturday, so technically I could go if I find somebody that wants to go with me, but I don't even know if I'm going to be allowed in London come then. Actually, this would be before my court date. I could be in London. Yeah, who wants to go to London with me? Yeah. What else do we have here? There is a story that came out this week, and I'm sure most of you read it. I don't know how many of you actually know the logistics, the working logistics behind the beer store and how it actually runs. I mean, most people know who owns it. Most people know that breweries will pay a fee to list. Most people know that the breweries will pay a fee to list per size, per store, per SKU. Like they're up to a maximum. So that is one of the ways they run. But this article is being put out by the union, being put out by OPSU, and the LCBO is also talking about how bad privatization is for things. And I mean, it's very, very, very well written, shall we say, in the way that they are completely and utterly masking the way the beer store is actually set up to run, because the beer store is still set up to run the same way it ran when it was a co-op, way back when, before it was the big three that ended up owning it, back when there was a whole bunch of breweries that owned it together. So let's go turn off my camera so I can read this news story, and then I'll turn it back on while I talk about what I have to talk about it. Anyway, it's grocery stores and craft breweries are behind the declining beer store sales, says the experts. Ontario's decision to allow grocery stores to sell beer and the growth of craft breweries are two of the main forces driving declining sales at the beer store, according to an Ottawa industry expert. According to its annual report released last week, the beer store generated about $7.2 million in net income in 2016, less than half the approximate $14.7 million the foreign-owned conglomerate reported in 2015. Now remember that number, okay? So 7.2 and 14.7, because we'll get back to that. The report also showed sales were down $10.5 million in 2016 to just over $400 million from $411 million in 2015. Significantly, 2016 also marked the first full year that beer was available in supermarkets, in grocery stores and supermarkets. So, I'm not going to continue reading the union experts shit that goes on here, but let's take some numbers into consideration here, okay? So we have a net sales of 411 million last year and 400 million this year. There is 440 beer stores, so each beer store made less than $1 million last year. Your net income after all your payouts were 14.7 and 7.2 million. I'm sorry, if any store is only making 14.7 million when there's 440 franchises, there is something being done wrong. It isn't that there isn't enough sales going on. It's the way it's set up to work, and it's set up still as a co-op. It's set up just to basically cover costs. It's almost set up like a crown corporation. The way the big guys are looking at it is, yeah, they're only making $7 million a year, but they're saving $500 million a year in distribution, marketing, and storefront space. That is what it is. They're saving themselves $500 million a year by operating these stores at almost a loss. It's just loss recovery. That's the entire idea of the beer store. It's always been the entire idea of the beer store. Back when the beer store opened, that's what it was for. It was for loss recovery and getting the beer out. You weren't really making a huge profit. You were making some profit, but not much. And it's still set up the exact same way today as it was way back then, except now there's craft breweries on the board as well, and there's the outside members of the board. So really, you're not making money, one, because you're not trying to make money. You're set up as a fucking loss leader. You're set up just to recover your costs. To even try and put into people's minds that 440 stores making $500,000 a year is a good number when you're selling alcohol is just ridiculous. The fact that people are actually buying into this shit is ridiculous. And then again, the LCBO jumps on top of it too, saying, oh, well, we made less money because of this. Well, actually, in the end, Ontario made more money because of the grocery stores, because now there's more tax money out in the economy. But you can't explain that stuff to some people. They just don't want to hear it. It's an intriguing article, though, because of the way the beer store is ran, the way the beer store is functioned, and it's just strange to sit there and listen to, well, read this stuff and listen to interviews about this stuff and all that. Basically, I find it hysterically funny too that they say that, you know, it's all the grocery stores and craft breweries' faults that beer sales are down. If you look at the charts, and they have a chart in the article for those of you that were on my Facebook page and saw the article. Basically, over the last 5 years, the beer store's sales have gone up very, very slightly. They have very slight growth. The LCBO's has gone up a fair deal. The LCBO agency stores and beer store agency stores has gone down slightly. And yes, grocery stores and on-site breweries have risen quite a bit, mostly because, you know, they were at zero sales first, and now they've gone up huge in the first year. And the other one wasn't at much. Now it's gone up to just above the grocery stores. But you still have the LCBO at number one in beer sales with almost $700 million in beer sales alone. You have, in beer profits alone, you have the beer store next, then you have the outlet stores, then you have on-site breweries, then you have grocery stores. So, and grocery stores and on-site breweries are under 200 million each. One's at about 125 and one's at about 150. So they're not really taking away your fucking money. Not at the extent that you're saying. It's just, again, the way you're set up to do business. So either tell the truth to people, explain to them exactly how your structure is set, or stop writing these fucking stupid fucking propaganda articles that are still out there and people are still stupid enough to fucking believe. Sorry for all the swearing, I'm just angry. Anyway, what do we have here? Shacklands, Blood Bros, and Burdock current lineups are Toronto's best kept secrets right now from Beer Droid. Niagara College beers are very solid. Had an awesome cherry pilsner and old school butter bitter. Both delicious. Does 473s? Yeah, I have two 473s in the other room there, Mr. Angus Wangus. Jace answered you though. And yeah, Beer Droid LCBO craft beer sales are up quite a bit. Well, that's just it, Mr. Angus Wangus. A lost leader dying away is normal. And I mean, that's the thing. The beer store was never meant for profit. It was meant to offset costs. It was meant to make things easier. It was meant to make distribution easier. So the big guys are making a little bit of money, but they're not spending any money on advertising or distribution because they're using that company to do all that for them. So they're ecstatic about it. They don't complain about it. It's the union complaining about it and using the numbers to try and stop privatization. The big guys don't care either way. They're still saving their money. So it is what it is to them. You know, whatever happens, happens. Excuse me. Again, there's 9 of you here. There's 3 of you talking. So anyone, guys, pitch in. Say something. Say hi. Tell me what you're drinking. Ask some questions. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it. What else do we have here? Beer news wise, not much. One of these stories I wish I had wished that Lee was here for. Here's one. Thornbury Village Craft Brewery won 2 Best in Countries categories at the Olympics for beer at the World Beer Awards. They won for Czech-style pale lager with the pickup number 26 Pilsner, and they won the Vienna and Amber Lager with the Ladder Run Amber Lager. Now, if I'm looking at a Pilsner, I would probably actually pick like the sociable Pilsner from Common Good or something over the pickup truck. Now, Vienna lagers, I don't drink enough Vienna lagers to know exactly what I would think would be number one. But basically, they won in the country, so they will go to the finals against every other country's best in country. I just was surprised that they won too. Like I said, Vienna lagers, I don't know enough about them. But Pilsners, I've had a few Pilsners that I didn't mind. This one is the one that I thought Lee would enjoy, and this was construction was delayed on Brock Street Brewery's downtown Whitby location. So they now this was a really intriguing story to me. Basically, they were going to make a 4-floor brewery, and it was going to be a huge brewery that took up 4 floors. And I actually don't want to leave you guys for a minute, but I might have to because I have a dog crying beside me, which means she's probably going to pee. Let me quickly take her outside. I'm sorry, guys. That's going to be a few moments of silence, and we'll get back to this story. And bang, yeah, we'll get back to this story in a second. Come here, you. Oh, come here, old girl. Okay, I know. Let's go. Okay, we'll be back. Ugh. Okay. Oh. Come here, you. Let's go pee quick. Come on. Okay, now that that's done, I am back. Sorry, usually there's somebody here to take up the slack when that happens. Yeah. But there wasn't. Okay, so they were supposed to do a four-story brewery, and it was going to be a very extensive basement. And they couldn't find anyone to do the basement. It was too small of a job for the contractors in Toronto, and it was too big of a job for any of the local contractors, any of the local excavators. So they went back to City Hall, and they were like, can we switch our plans and take up some of the parking? Now, they were supposed to have 78 parking spaces for the size that they had, and they had it planned to have 78 parking spaces. And then they cut it down to 2 parking spaces. And they're like, okay, we'll cut it down to 2 parking spaces because the city will let us. I don't know how you go from fucking 78 to 2 and you say you're going to have a wedding hall and this and that. If you have no parking, nobody's going to fucking rent your fucking brewery to go and have a wedding there, you fucking retards. Sorry for that word, but come on. Nobody's going to go and do a wedding there if there's no parking. Nobody's going to go and rent your hall if there's nowhere to put your vehicles. Anyway, so they went from 78 to 2, and then they realized they still didn't have quite enough room. So they figured, you know what, we had to pay cash in lieu of parking. to the city. So if we pay more cash in lieu of parking, we can probably just cancel these last 2 spots and get street parking. So they planned out to have no spots on site and they put that in, and then they got hit with the no, this isn't happening. You can't have street parking. You need at least 2 parking spots. So now everything's changed. They've changed their whole plans, and it's been delayed. So that's Brock Street's downtown brewery has been delayed because of planning problems. What do we have here? Have a good night, Beer Core Droid. I was gone when you left, so whatever. I didn't get to say good night. Jace, when I was a kid, the beer store was a shrine. Now it's full of crazies and unsanitary. There was a lady giving out samples the last time I was there. I have to go too. Take care, everybody, and have a good night. Okay, Jace, have a good night. Mr. Angus Wangus is the only one left talking to me. It's just me and Mr. Angus Wangus. You guys are making me sad. There's so many of you, and nobody will talk to me. I'm just gonna go and cry. So, oh shit! I almost dropped my phone. Where are we at now? Last news story, and maybe I'll just go offline since nobody's talking after this one, because nobody's here to chat with me either. Nobody wants to. I can't believe none of you want to join. The panel's open. Come join me. Anyway, this is out of the Yukon. Sorry, none of it. So none of it just received it's okay to have beer stores and liquor stores. Now, much like the original LCBOs, you have to register to buy your beer, and they will keep track of what you buy, and there is limits to what you can buy. If residents plan to buy anything from None of It's first beer and wine store, they're going to need to register first. This means giving their name and address to the government-operated store. There will be a daily limit of 2 bottles of wine or a 12-pack of beer. The information will create a list so staff at the beer and wine store can monitor purchases, but that list also will be shared with the RCMP. The RCMP, under existing law, just like elsewhere in Canada, has the ability to ask the government for information for their own law enforcement purposes. The information that we have would be available to them under the existing rules and law enforcement has, so they can come to us and request it. There are reasons to be concerned about alcohol in None of It, as it leads Canada in crime per capita, according to Statistics Canada, with a rate of 4 times the national average. The RCMP say 95% of crime is alcohol-related in None of It. Critics question what the RCMP will do with the registry. Many think the RCMP will use the registry to monitor those with criminal offenses, ordered to stay away from booze. We shouldn't have to register for a beer and wine store, said one resident, but the beer and wine store should have a list of people who aren't allowed to drink, who have certain conditions, but that touches on privacy rights. So, I mean, this is much like when the LCBO first opened in Ontario. You would go in, it was completely empty. You would go up to the counter, you would tell them what you wanted to buy. They would look in their little book and see if you were allowed to buy it. They would jot down your name. They would, after jotting down your name, they would jot down what you bought, and then they would keep that information. And then say your wife came in and said, I don't want him drinking. The next time you went in, they might say no booze for you. Sorry. Or you would go in and they'd say you bought too much. You can't have anything. So it is a really fascist way of doing things. Now, I understand at the same time that there is a lot of alcoholism in None of It. There is a lot of crime in None of It that's alcohol related, but it's still a really funny thing to me that you're going to let them have an alcohol and wine store. Like, you're going to let them have a wine and beer store, but you're going to be the nanny state that says how much you can drink. But again, it's one of those catch-22s. I mean, but if it's happening there, if your privacy and your rights and your ability to be an adult are completely regulated in none of it, who's to say it can't be regulated all over Canada? Who's to say that they can't come to Ontario and say, you know what, all you can buy is a 12-pack of beer a week? Fuck you, you have to register for it, you can only buy that. Because there's nothing stopping them. If you don't fight those things, there's nothing that stops them from doing it. And that's the thing, right? Your freedom and your rights are only freedoms and rights if the government lets you do it and if you fight for those things. So it's a weird thing again to sit there and even think about that we're going backwards in time. Like that's what it seems like. Like you look at what's going on in the U.S. and it looks like they're going backwards, and then you look at what's going up in none of it, and it's going back to like the 1930s in Ontario with alcohol. It's a very, very strange thing, and it's weird to me. It's very weird to me. Last week you were at the beer store and they gave you a free Jack Link's beef jerky sample. See, that's a weird sample to be giving out at the beer store to me. But I guess beef jerky works with beer. I mean, salty and beer. Okay, there's apparently 7 of you watching. Let's talk. What do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about movies? You want to talk about TV? Any of you guys watch the show Wrecked? Kind of like Lost, except it's a comedy and they're not dead. They crash on a deserted island, and yeah, a buddy of mine's actually in that show. He's only in it for like 3 minutes of screen time in the 2nd season, but he's still in it. I don't even know what else to talk about. It's an intriguing time to be me, I guess. Intriguing time to be me. I have my 2 idiot dogs that I love so much. Talking about idiot dogs, look at that one. I'm probably looking at another 2 months, maybe more, before I can even try to see my kids. I have 2 weeks before I even go in for my entrance interview with with Pathstones, which is what my ex-wife wants me to have to use to see my kids. To which it'll cost me $60 round trip in taxis, and it'll cost me $100 every 2 weeks for 1 hour with my kids. So it's basically set up to make me not be able to see my kids because I won't be able to afford it while I'm paying her almost $900 a month in child support. So that's an intriguing thing to me. Very, very happy about that. I have my next court date on Tuesday. I would love to go to London on Saturday to the Anderson 1 year bash. If anyone wants to come to London, St. Niagara and get me, and then go to London and come back. I've been taking 5-HTP as well, and I haven't slept at all. But then I'm also taking a huge plethora of different vitamin supplements and medications, so they might all just cancel each other out. Yeah, it is what it is. They might be. I don't know. What other shows are out there? I've actually been catching up on. I've been catching up on Family Guy. I'm on the newest season 14, I think it is, 14, 15, whatever it is. I'm watching that right now. There's so many TV shows out there that I want to watch, or there's so many movies out there I want to watch. I just don't have the time. And I mean, I don't have kids or anything right now, and I still don't have the time. Between the dogs and doing housework and doing my workouts now, which take like 2 to 3 hours a day, mattering which workout I'm doing, and the beer stuff, the answering emails, the Canadian mental health stuff, the just between everything, between reading all my DBT books and doing my DBT work for my DBT class and doing my CBT work for my CBT class and writing out the speeches that I'm doing with the John Howard Society when I talk to teens with mental illnesses. I don't have a lot of time anymore, and it's a sad thing because it's just me in this house, me and the 2 dogs, and I can't do anything for myself really unless I forgo something and push it off. Like there's a lot of cleaning I still haven't done that I should do. There's a lot of things I haven't done that I should have done. but I'm at the point where I just don't have anything left really. And my tank is running on almost empty. Sleeman original draft. Yeah. Let's go see if Mr. Angus Wangus had said anything. Nope, nothing. Well, guys, I want to stay on and keep talking to you, but nobody's here. Nobody's talking. It's just me and Mr. Angus Wangus. The rest of you are silent. Women and relationships are still a problem in my life right now. So there's that going on. I'm dealing with a lot with my aunt and my mother and my grandmother. They think my grandmother has dementia, so there's that. And she's up in Ottawa, so I don't get to see her. And I was the one that helped take care of her most of the time. So I did get a verbal lashing when they told me because I'm not there. And then I'm dealing with the craziness that is my mother and the craziness that is my aunt and the craziness that is my brothers and the not seeing the children thing and the court thing and the not being at work thing and the meds thing and the absolutely no self-esteem or self-confidence thing. That's a good one too. And then things like the dogs. The dogs drive me insane. Like earlier tonight, we were outside. They both pissed. We were outside. They both pissed. We came inside. I went in the shower for 10 minutes. So they had both pissed and shit while they were outside. I was in the shower for 10 minutes. I got out of the shower. Somebody pissed in the hall. I'm like, seriously, motherfucking dogs? We were just outside. Like literally just outside. It was a 10-minute fucking shower. How did one of you piss in the hall already? And yeah, so I'm dealing with that too. I'll turn this on because there's nothing to read right now. Yeah, look at that. Is that on my screen? Or... Okay, yeah, that was my screen. I thought there was a brown mark on my wall. I'm like, what the fuck is on my wall? Why is it that dirty? But it was a brown spot on my screen. Awesome. Oh, Mr. Angus Wangus posted something big here. Let's go see what he has to say. You guys all know what he has to say because you're all there in the chat, even though you're not saying anything. Oh, Greg. Greg doesn't want to join me. I see. Uh, 4 days until you're back in Niagara. Awesome for you, sir. It's true, Greg. I haven't had a cat in the house in 5 months, and I've been cleaning and Javixing and urine destroying the basement, the places he usually pissed the whole time, and I still can't get rid of that smell. Why are the two of you fuckers in here? 4 days until you're in Niagara. Good for you, sir. I go back to work almost a week after you get back. I think I'm off for 6 days after you get back, and then I'm back at work. But hey, maybe we can find some time to get together. And there's always Clyzac there that we can try and get out to. Well, thank you for joining. I have no idea what all those little characters mean, so I'm not even going to try and say something. And I know you hate white people, Greg. It's okay. You also hate that we say you're not the better Greg. So yeah, it's beer news is done for the week. Nobody's talking to me about movies or TV. You're right. Dog piss is so much easier to clean. It only stinks if you don't catch it right away. I do have to go out and Javex that part of the hall, though. I just wiped it up for now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this right now. I'm actually angry, and I'm not supposed to get angry anymore, so I'm just going to wipe it up and walk away. I'll deal with it after. But it is what it is. I mean, yeah, I just couldn't believe it. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and they both pissed outside, and they both took big pisses outside, and it was a big piss on the floor. I'm like, really? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? I I also broke one of my door frames. I did that today too. I used resistant bands for some of my workouts. I use the free weights in the basement for biceps, biceps, back, triceps, that type of stuff, lats and shit. But for my deltoids and more tricep workouts and stuff like that, I use the resistance bands, which I have a door anchor for. And I had 300 pounds of I had 300 pounds of resistance on it because I had 3 sets worth of resistance bands hooked up to the handles. And yeah, I ripped part of the door frame off when I was using that. So yeah, I got to fix that tomorrow and not use that much weight on the door frame anymore. Uh, so yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. uh, Good day, Chewbarca. Well, Nick, you've been here enough times. The cat piss that I'm trying to get isn't even behind a couch. It's in the storage side of my basement. In the storage side of my basement, so the unfinished side. That giant wooden and metal shelf I have built that has all the totes on it and all that. The cat would crawl under that and piss. So I can't even move the shelf to clean it. So I have to spray the chemicals under and hope to hit exactly where it is. I've gotten most of it, but and then it doesn't smell for a few days. And then you go downstairs and you get a little whiff again. So you're like, oh fuck, I missed a piece. So I've been trying for 4 months to get rid of the smell. It's almost gone, just not quite there. He also pissed on some of my free weights, but I got that all cleaned up. I'm glad the cat's gone. I miss the dogs. I'm glad I'm okay with the dogs being gone because I have my boxer and I love Boris, and I have my Shepherd Mastiff and I love Helga. So I can't say that I'm 100% pissed off she took them, because I have dogs that are much more well behaved, and that's because I've been off, so I've trained them the way I want them trained instead of me being at work and then being left with my ex-wife and her not training them at all. And also, they are such affectionate dogs where my old dogs were affectionate to me, but not anyone else really. And I am still pissed off she took them because they were my dogs, but at the same time, now I have these guys. So $5,000, 50,000 Glade plugins. Yeah, way in the back. Yep, right by the water main, and the sewage clean out. He did piss all over the sewage clean out too, but that was easy enough because once I packed up my ex-wife's shit and put it upstairs. And actually, she's going to love when she opens up some of those boxes because he pissed on some of her stuff too. And I just put it back in the boxes. I'm like, I don't even give a shit. I'm not cleaning it. Just put it in the boxes and packed it away in the baby's old room. So it's set up like that. Now, Klyzak there says he might be staying here for a week. And I don't know where he's going to sleep yet because he's not going to get the basement because I'm going to be playing stuff in the basement. And he's not going to get my room because nobody gets my room. So he's going to have to sleep in one of my other 2 kids' beds. And I'm not going to tell him which one is covered in piss because one of my kids pisses his bed and the other one doesn't. So I'm not going to tell him which one's which, and he has to figure it out because he can't get into the baby's room because it's filled to the ceiling with all of her stuff. And I know there's more things she's going to want. She's going to want to take the couch. She's going to want to take the lazy boy. She's going to want to take the freezer. She might try and take one of the fridges because I have 3 fridges in the house, and I don't care if she takes one of them as long as she doesn't take the one up here, which is the good one. I have a feeling she's going to try and take the bed, which will leave me with a single bed, which won't be good with two 100-pound dogs and maybe a lady friend at some point. But I don't care anymore. I just don't. I just want it to be done. I want to see my kids, and I want this to be done so I can actually figure out if I'm doing the festival again next year, and so I can continue to work on the things that make me happy, my different charitable works, and while I'm working on me, and while I'm working on these two dogs, and it is I'm just I'm exhausted with the whole process here. I'm exhausted with the whole game of pretending that you were just going to visit your mom and then serving me like 3 weeks later. I'm exhausted with finding out that my son was enrolled into a school in a different city because the school here phoned me because she didn't tell me. Like, well, you were actually with me when she texted me the pictures of him going to his new school. Like that was the beginning of the end right there. I knew what was going on. I knew what was going on before that, and I was trying to not put my kids through the same things I did, like that I went through. And I think she knew that. I think she knew that I wasn't going to fight dirty because I didn't want to pull my kids through the court system. And that made me sort of compliant to the things she did. Like when she first went there, I should have called when it was first realized she wasn't coming back. I should have called it kidnapping because she went to a different city. But I was compliant. I was accommodating. Okay, whatever. When we were done and she signed the house over to me as sole ownership until this is all dealt with, and then she started asking for more things out of the house, I was accommodating. When she wanted me to, only talk to the kids at this specific time, I was accommodating, even though it was not a good time for me. Like I've accommodated to her for everything she wants, and she's still trying to take everything, and she's still holding the kids against me and holding the kids away from me. And I think it's at the point where we had three things to deal with. We had our van, we have my pension, and we have the house. That's all we have. It's not like we have a whole bunch of money or this or that. We had three things. Three things. We didn't have to go to court for any of this. And we have the kids. The kids are easy enough. It's, will you let me pay you less than the chart of child support, or do you want the chart of child support? That's all you're getting. You're not getting more than the chart. So we already know the high end of what you're getting. Do you want that, or will we take less? We didn't have to go to court for that either. And I think what she doesn't get is that going to court isn't necessarily meaning things are going to be great for her, because the judge could side with me. The judge could side against both of us. And I mean, she took the kids out of the house saying that, I had my mental illness and I had my visual impairment, and it wasn't good for the kids. But she took them into a house with somebody that has a sexual conviction against him, because her dad was convicted of indecent exposure. So the fact that that's now in the court system, and she's going to let a judge make a decision, she's going to end up getting facts called in on this, where all we had to do was sit down and be adults and talk about things and figure it out. So she's going to put my kids through the system that I was through, regardless of what I've done. And I think that's what bothers me the most about the entire situation. Well, Nick, you have a good night. Can I fit two Asians in a single bed with me and two dogs? It matters how we're laying, Angus Wangus. With the dogs right now, possibly. Once they're full grown, no way in fucking hell. Because, like the vet said today, they're thinking she's going to be huge, and he's going to be a big boxer too. So, excuse me. The two Asians things bothers me so much right now too. It bothers me in that I had the chance to sleep with two Asians, and the Asian twins, and I was a good husband and said no, I can't do this. I can't cheat on my wife, even though I'm not happily married. I can't cheat on my wife. And a few weeks later, she leaves me, And I'm like, fuck, I should have slept with those Asian twins. Because when in my life am I going to get that offer again? I'm a fucking large albino. It's not like they're going to come back all the time and be like, hey, we want to sleep with you again. I had 2 chances for it, and I said no both times because I was married, and I'm loyal, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't, because that won't ever come again. I would have came a few times that night, but that won't come again for me. Even now that I'm getting back in shape, that won't happen again. Like, that was a twice in a lifetime, because they came back 2 days later and gave me a last offer before they went back to Pittsburgh. But since they're from Pittsburgh, I'm really sure they were going to drug me and cut out my intestines or my kidneys or my liver. Well, you don't want my liver, but the other parts of my body are worthwhile. But yeah, now that I'm getting back into my Highland Games and strongman body, I am losing weight. I thought I was losing a lot more weight than I was until I saw that vlog today from Chris, because I still look very large in that vlog. So but I don't know if I'm just being biased to myself. Maybe I have lost as much weight as I thought I did. I just don't realize it looking at that. But I'm putting on a lot of muscle again too. Like I can feel the body changing, so that might be why I still look fairly large. There was a lot of muscle memory to go through, and it's working. It's coming back, so that's all that matters. Beer to the rescue. Nice to finally see a live stream. Hope all is well, Rhino. Cheers. Been busy with work, so nice to see a later night stream. Well, beer to the rescue. Nice to have you here. All is not well, but it's as well as it's going to be. I did go over a few of those things earlier, and I probably will ramble on to them again at some point, because that's the way I am, and I'm here alone because nobody wants to fucking join. So that's the way it goes. Greg's here, but he's probably passed out in his chair already because it's a later stream. But anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I can't change anything. Health wise, physically, I'm getting better. I've had time to work on myself. I've had time to do the things I need to do what my aunt asked me to do, which is do the Highland Games again. So I'm getting back to that point. Am I ready for it right now? Not really. Mentally, I'm a lot better than I was 4 months ago. Again, I have BPD, so it's not like the suicidal thoughts are gone, but I haven't acted on anything or been down at that point ever again. I don't lose my temper as much. I don't lash out as much. I don't think badly on myself or other people as much. So my different therapies, my DBT and my CBT, are going well. I have 2 weeks left of anger management, which I don't actually need. I'm just taking it because I'm taking it before the judge tells me to take it, because my ex-wife had it in her requirements for me to see my kids. So as soon as I got served and I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'll preemptively take this, because I'm going to get told to take it anyway. I'm probably going to get told to take the park course as well. Park course is $400, and it's a fucking waste of money too. This was $150 of a waste of money. Like, I'm in cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy. Those teach me a lot more than the moronic anger management I'm in. And it's not like the John Howard Society is bad at what it does, or the teachers I have, the ladies that run the course are bad at what they do. It's just it has nothing to do with somebody with what I have wrong with me. It has nothing to do with what I'm dealing with. It's people that are angry, and that's it. Not people that have mental illness and have a lot more to deal with when it comes to that type of stuff. It's just people that got angry, people that get angry easily or quickly or have a short temper. It's not, like the cycle of anger doesn't happen with me. It's not, these 4 steps. It's if I'm angry, I go from normal to boom in a second, and then I'm done, and I'll be back to normal in a second, or I'll be down to depressed. It's the weirdest cycle there is. So, yeah, it is what it is, and it worked. It's working. Things are going better than they were, so that's all that matters. Things are better than they were. They'll be great when I get to see my kids, and they'll be great when the divorce is finally over. It's just dealing with those two things right now. The fact that I haven't seen my kids in 4 months, and like my youngest son is 7 months old. He has no clue who the fuck I am right now. He's almost walking. I haven't seen him since he was 3 months old. I haven't seen I wasn't able to be with my son for his birthday. I'm not going to be able to be with my daughter for her first day of school. Like these are the things that bother me right now. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to be an active part of my kids' lives because she's in London, Ontario, and I'm here in Niagara Falls. I'm blind. I can't drive. So unless she brings the kids to me, I'm not seeing them. And I don't work a normal job. My days off are in the middle of the week. So I'm not going to see them at all during the school year. And she doesn't want to bring them here in the summer, but she's going to have to. Right now, like I said, it's going to cost me $160 every 2 weeks to see my kids for an hour at Pathstone's Mental Health, and I don't even want to do that anymore. I've been accommodating too much, and I don't want to accept that anymore. You know what? You held them away from me for 4 months. I'm not doing this. I'm not paying $160 to see them for an hour every 2 weeks. You can fucking let me see my kids. I've done everything I was supposed to do. I'm on my meds. I've done my behavioral therapies. I'm on I'm cleared to go back to work at some point in the near future. I'm not going to say exactly when, but I'm cleared to go back to work. So yeah, it's time to stop being a bitch to me. Basically what it comes down to. Greg, I never want to see that written again in one of my chats. And the worst part is I actually think you may be doing that. I think you may be. See, beer to the rescue. I don't actually feel like I've lost weight. I thought I did. I thought I was losing a lot of weight. And then In the Basement posted a vlog today. He was here today while we took Helga to the vet. And I was watching the vlog, and I look huge in the vlog still. But like I said, I don't know if that's huge because I've put on the muscle mass now again. Like the muscle memory was there. I started growing pretty quickly after I started doing my exercises again. And I'm almost back to, like, I'm not back to my strongman strength, but I'm almost back to my my high school wrestling strength now. And like I have 90-pound dumbbells that I curl. Like I'm back to the point where I'm stronger than most people I know. I'm just not back to the point where I'm stronger than everybody I know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't drink much anymore. I drink when I do this, and I do like 1 or 2 beers a day when I do my reviews. And I don't even drink the whole beer anymore. I drink like half the beer and dump the rest. And I do that not because I don't want to drink it. It's because, well, I don't want to drink it, especially on the meds I'm on. It's not like it's affecting the meds I'm on, because the meds I'm on I actually can drink with. It's just I don't want to anymore. I'm not. I don't care to be drunk anymore. I like having a beer here and there, but I don't care to be drunk anymore. And I say that as I put back a King can. I have 2 beers left for the night, and they're both Radlers, so we're looking at 2% alcohol, and I'm okay with that. Have myself some grapefruit juice with a little bit of alcohol. Bud Light Radler. These are actually in 12 packs at the beer store now. I know that Zares had them in 12 packs in the 500s, and I almost bought one of those, but these are the 350. These are the pounder cans, and it was $25 for a 12. Greg will say that's way too much money, but I enjoyed them, so it was fine for me. Could I beat up the cantankerous cook? In my heyday, I was stronger than the cantankerous cook. I was a lot smaller than him, but I was stronger than him. Right now, I would say he's probably stronger than me currently, but we would probably be fairly even in a fight because he has 2 bad knees and I just have bad eyes. And I know where to hit him to take him down, and I know I can take his punches. So I think we'd be pretty even right now. I'd probably give him an edge right now because I'm not in the shape I used to be in. But if we were talking like 6 years ago, I'd say yes, I could take him. Right now, I say it would be a good battle, but he would take me. Give me another 4 or 5 months of working out every day. I should be back to where I was, and that's the way it's going to be. Also, you will now bring up hard starting the good old yogurt slinger in every future chat you will do. Thanks for that. Mr. Angus Wangus, she feels that she is. See, people say that I should be angry with her, and I'm not, because I know what she put up with. She put up with an untreated person with BPD for 15 years. She's a saint for staying with me that long. I will say that what she's thinking right now is that she's getting back at me for the years of things I've said or things I've done, and it really, she wasn't innocent in any of it either. She knew what she was doing. She would say some evil things back to me just to hurt me and to trigger me, because if she triggered me, then she could use that against me. And really, since she's been gone, she's tried to trigger me all the time because she knows what will get me. But like I said, I've actually been doing everything I'm supposed to do. So she only triggered me once. And it was a time I was talking to my kids, and I didn't let them see anything. I did get off the phone. It was actually a very big backpedal. It was a very big setback in my treatment. And I know my kids didn't mean it. They were lashing out because they are angry right now. And I know this because I had the same thing happen to me several times in my life. And I was talking to them, and they both said they hated me and they didn't want to talk to me. And she was giggling in the background when they said that. And that's what set me off. I'm like, kids, I love you. I'll be here for you. But I'm going to go now. And I hung up, and I sat in my garage for about an hour crying. And I came inside, and it was a huge setback. I was back to where I was 4 months ago. I was back to where I was for the last 20 years, where I actually legitimately thought about ending my life. And I didn't because I didn't want to. I needed to be there for my kids. I didn't want to let her win. And I didn't want to disappoint them. And I had just that day before I came home and talked to my kids, had done a big speech with a bunch of teenagers with the John Howard Society that have mental illnesses as well. And my big speech was about, the strongest thing I ever did in my life was staying alive when all I wanted to do was die. And a whole big spiel about the way my inner demons were and how I felt about them. And I sat there and I'm like, can I really do this after I sat there and told these 20 kids that they're not alone and that they shouldn't think about this, and that if they need to call anybody, call me? What if I did this and one of them called me tonight? And I think between my kids and those kids I talked to were the only reasons I didn't do it that night. But like I said, it was a horrible night for me. It was the biggest setback I had ever had. Everything was going good, and I mean that's the way mental health is, right? It looks like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and then something sets you back, and then you have a choice to make. You can either push through it and continue back to where you were and go further, or you can let that setback destroy you and send you back to rock bottom. And I didn't let that happen, and I'm proud of myself for not letting that happen, but I almost let that happen. And if I did, she would have won. She would have had all the proof she needed for everything she wanted. I couldn't even call anybody because right now she has the okay to get all my medical records. So if I even called Coast or something, she would have a record that I called Coast that day after she was laughing at me when they said that. So I had to deal with all that myself because, I mean, I did ask. I asked people, can anyone come over right now? I need somebody. I need to do something. I need to get out. And like every other time I've asked, nobody came. So it was one of those things. Like, that's why I'm glad I'm making new friends right now out of my courses, because obviously my list of friends that I thought were great friends aren't really great friends. There's still some in there, and I know they can't be here all the time, but they have been here at times. But that list is shrunk quite a bit. I mean, I have the cantankerous cook, I have Cecile, I have Mel, I have Chris, Simon, and Boychuk, really, and James. I mean, that's and well, Gregory, who's in the chat, he's come from Toronto and hung out with me for a day. So thank you very much, Greg, for that. Chris F. Grave, who was in a few videos, he drove down from Bolton. I mean, I'm actually getting more people that were viewers that are coming from further away than people I've been friends with for years showing up. And I mean, you don't realize who your friends are until shit happens to you. And that's just the way it is. Let's see, what do we have here? Beer to the rescue. It's probably muscle mass. Muscle weighs more than fat, right? Yes, it does. Keep it up. My good friend is going through somewhat the same thing. His ex is keeping his kids from him, and he is a great guy. Well, see, that I don't think I'm a great guy, though. I think I've done some great things. I don't think I'm a great guy, but that's me. Stable, but I guess 1 to 3 beers a day makes him a terrible drunk. See, that's the thing, right? I was told I was a terrible drunk too. I got rid of all the hard liquor in the house. I had 150 bottles of hard liquor. I might have 1 shot a year when the guys would be here for the beer festival. But I had the bottles because they would be gifted to me, or some of them I would buy to do a review of, and then I just never drink them again because I didn't care for hard liquor all that much. But I would drink basically I would drink on the podcast, on the live stream. I would drink, and I would usually drink anywhere from 1 to 8 beers on the live stream, and then I'd review a couple beers a week. And if I was with a group, I'd do like 12 beers that night, but I'd only have 4 ounces of beer, so I ended up having 3 beers. You know, like it's just one of those things where anyone can paint a picture any way they want. What do we have? Greg, boo-hoo, your wife chose to stay with you. She knew what she was into. I don't feel sorry for her one bit. And using kids against you makes her a cunt. Well, again, I understand that, sir. And it is what it is. I mean, that's you knew her for a long time too, Greg. I mean, you didn't hang out with her as much as say Nick or Guy or anything like that. But you knew my wife. You've been here enough. You've seen her and. You've seen her on here. You've been in my house. You've met my wife a few times. I don't even know if there was any love in the relationship left by the end. I think we were just together for the kids because it was easier. I made a good deal of money. I paid for everything, and she didn't have to work as much because of that. And I mean, she's fighting for spousal support right now, which is kind of funny too, because by the time you take out what I'm giving her for child support, and then you take out spousal support too, she would be making 3 times as much as I am, and I wouldn't have enough to even pay for a 1-bedroom apartment. Fuck, I won't have enough to pay for a 1-bedroom apartment anyway. That's why I'm fighting to keep the house. I have to buy her out of the house, is what it comes down to, which actually will cost me a lot less now because I was paying for the van for a while she still had it, and I've paid every bill in the house since she left. So 4 months of everything in the house comes off of what she owes. Well, she would get out of the house. And then we do have a lien on the house from our furnace, so that comes off of what is there. And then she has the different debts of hers that I've paid off, so that comes off. So in the end, I might owe her a couple grand, and I'll have to figure out a way to get that to her. But it is what it is. What do we have next? A complete and utter cunt. That goes for anyone, man or woman, that uses their kids as weapons in a divorce. And then Mr. Angus Wangus, amen. And yeah, I mean, Drunken One, you have the invite, get in here. Yeah, Greg, I get that, and I understand exactly what you're saying. It is, but like I said, it is what it is. I can't, part of my problem is, I will blame myself. I mean, that's part of what I have. It's part of my mental illness is that I will blame myself, and and she knows that too. And she used that in her court papers as well with the, look, he, you know, admits that it's all his fault. And yeah, I did. I said it was all my fault because in my mind, it was all my fault. I'm the one that didn't get help for 20 years. I'm the one that refused to admit to what I had for 20 years. I'm the one that pretended like it would just get better for 20 years. And it wouldn't. I had my reasons, and my reasons weren't very good reasons, but I still had my reasons for why I didn't do things. And my reasons were proven. Like, people ask why people with mental illness don't come forward, why people don't ask for help. And it's because as soon as you ask for help, your family alienates you, you lose friendships, you can lose your job. Hell, the only reason I've been off work for 4 months is because work knew I had a mental problem. And they decided to sit there and fish through everything I said on Facebook and fish through everything I said at work. And basically what happened was one night somebody at work asked me how I was feeling, and I said, not very well. You know, I haven't seen my kids. I don't know what's going on with my wife. This is before she even told me she was leaving. She just was gone. I'm like, I know we're fighting. I don't think she's coming back. And this was after I admitted to having my problems, after I admitted to my suicide attempts in my teen years, after I admitted to everything. And I'm like, you know, I'm not doing good. And I've been off for a few days since she left, and I'm back here now. It's the busiest day of the year. I'm having a bit of anxiety. I don't know. Hey, good day, drunken one.
Oh, shit.
And so yeah, I was like, you know, I'm having a bit of anxiety. I can't deal with this. I don't want to be here. And then I got pulled into the security manager's office, the shift manager's office, and they're like, "Did you say you were going to kill yourself?" I'm like, "No." Well, we have people that said you did. Like, well, I didn't. And I was sitting there, and there's an OPP officer in there. There's a NRP officer in there. There's 2 paramedics, and there's like 4 security guards and the shift manager. And we're going back and forth on here. And I'm like, see, this is the reason why people don't come forward and talk about this shit. Because you guys sit there and you fucking go through everything we say with a fine-tooth comb until you can put something together that makes you think what you want to think. And I ended up getting walked out by 8 cops, 4 paramedics, and 6 security guards. And I haven't been back to work since.
Oh, my Jesus.
I mean, that's why people keep shit to themselves. I've lost friends because I've admitted to what's wrong with me. I've lost family because I've admitted to what's wrong with me. And that's the reason why people don't deal with this shit. People don't bring it forward because of that. I forgot to turn off my camera before I went to read comments. Let me turn that off so you don't have to look at my forehead.
But we love your forehead.
I bet you do. Caitlin Hampton, love your stream, man. Keep looking forward. Well, thank you.
Dad, find out if she's single.
For you? Greg wants to know if you're single.
Well, not unless she lives in Toronto. I don't drive that far for.
You don't drive anywhere.
I'm incredibly lazy.
I mean, it is what it is. I can't. I understand. I mean, like I said, you know my wife. You've been here enough times. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us were polite about when we talked about your wife when you were with her and even when the divorce happened. But you know what? Bluntly, she is what she is. You know, and again, that's not me saying you're the perfect husband, you're the perfect guy, you were perfect to her and you don't deserve any of this. You know what? Maybe some of this is on you too, but the fact is she's the one, you know, assuming what your side of the story is true, and I'm taking you at your word, is that that's a really shitty thing for her to do because she's using people that have no say in this, little people that have no say in this, and she's using them as a weapon for her own means, and that's a shitty thing to do, regardless of whether she thinks she's justified or not.
Well, I mean, like I said, I admit to my problems. I did do some things and say some things in our relationship that I can't take back. All I can do is ask for forgiveness. She didn't want to give me forgiveness. That's on her.
But here's the thing, Chad. Everyone in every relationship says shit they wish they could take back. You know, even the best relationship, people say stuff they shouldn't say. Sure. You know, like.
Okay.
There you go, Greg. You made Caitlin retract her message. She's gone now.
Well, I guess she was afraid to get the rhino horn.
You are the grossest. I don't even know why I let you come in at this time of night because I know that you would be like this.
Well, it's your fault for not taking this chat offline.
It's true. It's my fault for not taking the chat offline.
What is, okay, I don't know shit about shit. Just for fun, before he goes offline. Why shouldn't he be online this time of night?
Because Greg is the most disgusting, sexist man you're ever going to meet.
Listen, that's not totally true. Yeah, it probably is. All right, can't you deal with others? What do you need counseling also? I mean, Rhino has to have it. He has to have counseling because he has issues. Do you feel like you're in the same position?
No, he embraces his disgusting.
No, yeah, I'm quite happy with the person I am.
Okay, no, that's good. Okay, myself, I'm with that. I'm all in that. Are you offensive to others, and you feel like people would leave you if you spoke your mind?
Who, me? I speak my mind all the time, and no one leaves me. I'm good.
That's my God. Oh my God! So I just opened up Facebook.
I'm just playing here. I don't know.
No. I just opened up Facebook, and the first post on Facebook is my ex-wife, and it's pictures of my 7-month-old son, and it's the title. Well, the caption is "Good times hanging with our buds today. It takes a village, and I certainly need a village of strong, supportive women in my life right now."
Oh, all right. She's looking for help herself, I guess.
She's been looking for pity the entire time she's been gone.
Yeah, she's looking for all her friends being like, "Oh my God, you're such a good mother. You're looking after your kids so well. You know, you should get an award."
I don't know the whole everything. You know, I've been with Chad for a while, and I know he's been going through some issues, so I'm somewhat familiar, but all in all, I'm really not sure. He doesn't need any distractions. He seems like a really good guy himself, and seems like he's trying. Excuse me. Seems like he's trying really hard. But and I know people can sway that quickly. Everybody wants to be a bully, but it doesn't seem like Chad's like the bully type. It seems like he's trying to get along and make things happen. What do you think?
Like I said, there was things that were said and done in our relationship that I can never take back. And again, it was I can't use my mental illness as an excuse. I can use it as the reason it happened. I still have to take responsibility for the things that happened, and I do.
Of course.
And I mean that's the thing. I take responsibility for the things that happened and the things that were said. I just understand why it happened at the same time. And she decided to over-exaggerate things and lie about some things so that she could get what she needed.
Women don't do that, Rhino. Come on, women don't over-exaggerate.
It is what it is. I mean, I can't hold things against her. Like I said, she lasted 15 years with me, and I was out of those 20 years where I was pretending there was nothing wrong. And I mean, now I'm at the point where I can self-reflect on everything, and I'm pissed off with myself that I waited this long. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I might actually be happier without her around. I don't know.
I'm not trying to women bash or whatever. I think will be happier. Y'all were together for 20 years?
No, we were together for 15.
Okay, right. Well, okay, good. Yeah. So I've been with my girl about 15. I'm just 20 years is a long time, man. Sometimes it takes a while for it to all come out.
I think you'll be a lot happier without her. I think once you set up a thing where you can see your kids on a regular basis and that's not being held against you, I think you'll be a lot. And then maybe get yourself a lady friend that you can, do your dirty Rhino things too.
Well, whether it's dirty Rhino things or just the companionship, I think it would all just be just as well. I mean, if it turns into dirty Rhino, that's all good. But I mean, just companionship of the opposite sex is. I didn't live alone a long time. I always had a girl, and that always seemed to kind of soothe things out. Whether the long term or short term, but I mean, most of mine were long term. I don't know where I was going with this. Anyway, Yeah, just find you another, and just get that female companionship in your life again. Just do that. Let the other just kind of pass on by. I've heard quite a few of your stories, Chad, Rhino. It sounds like she's kind of like the gold digger because she knows the situation. Just get to where you get with somebody that understands what you're dealing with, and there's a woman out there that will love you. They'll love you unconditionally, you know.
No, man. I'm a very large albino. There's not going to be one, but I have the 2 dogs. I have my love right there.
No.
Chad, you've never heard of chubby chasers? There's a lot of women out there that like the bigger fellas.
No, there's nothing. You're a good guy. Okay, I'm not female, obviously, but if I was a gal, that maybe
really,
you might not get one that's just exactly right, but you find the one that might be a little insecure, like maybe she got beat in her life before, but you're a good guy. You're a good guy, and you would treat a woman properly. And there's somebody out there for you. There's somebody. She might have a couple of issues too. She's been beaten her life, but you're just the guy to treat her how she needs to be treated. Somebody that would respect her and to give her love and so on. There's a woman out there for you. Like I said, she might not be like the normal old gal, but she's gonna be one that will respect you and okay. So he doesn't see so good. So he's got a couple pounds on him. You know, whatever. You know,
it's the genetic law. It's that great genetic lottery I had going for me, right? I'm legally blind. I'm albino, so I'm visually different. I'm a larger guy. Yeah, I'm stronger than most people, but I'm a larger guy. I can't ever drive because I'm legally blind. I have 3 kids. I have a mental illness. Like I have the genetic lottery going against me.
Well, no, don't think about it the bad way. There's somebody out there for you and with you, and she might be able to drive where you can't. You know, but. Maybe.
Yeah. Chad, definitely don't date a chick that.
Don't give up, baby. Don't give up. Don't give up. It seems like you got a lot of stuff going against you, but there's somebody out there that will love you for everything you are, and everything you've got, and so on. There's a kooky little girl out there for you, man. She's just waiting to meet you. Don't give up. Don't give up. There's a girl that's gonna love you for you, and
oh, don't forget that I'm also the hairiest bastard you're ever gonna meet. Luckily, it's white though.
Well, don't drop on all the negative things you might have going on.
Chad, like I said, it's really a shame you are where you are, because I actually know a girl that basically has all the fetishes that you are. She likes the fact that you're albino. She likes hair on guys. She likes big guys.
There's somebody out there gonna dig that shit.
The only downside to her is that, well, number one, she's married. That's not really a problem, because she'd leave her husband if she found the right guy.
Is she happily married?
No, she's not. She's not happily married. But
that's the point. Bam.
She lives in Toronto and doesn't drive, and she has a kid, so that's also a problem.
Sweet. See, y'all hire Julio to be able to take you around in places. There's somebody. I swear to God, don't give up. There's somebody out there, Chad, that is a lot like you. She might be vision impaired, and like I said, like he was just saying, some girls think that the albino thing is cool. I don't have a problem with that.
That hurt. Oh my God, that hurt. I just burped out my nose. I burped out my nose.
I thought you got knocked in the balls by a boxer again.
No, he's asleep on the bed.
Please don't let me offend you. I'm sure you've heard worse. I'm sure I don't mean to offend you by no means.
Every single time you're on this chat, be it online or offline, you're like, I don't want to offend you. First off, it takes a lot to offend me. And second off, I'm a disgruntled Irishman. I'll let you know if you offended me.
Okay. And in that case...
Have I ever offended you?
In that case, there's some...
No, Greg, you have made me throw my hands up in the air, though, and say, oh my God, I got to walk away, but you've never offended me.
Right. No, I want you to let me know if I offend you. That way I don't do it again. Nevertheless, there's going to be something. You're not the only person that is albino and single. You know, so you get it, and so somebody else is going to love you for who you are, and you might be the perfect match for somebody. I don't personally know that person, but anyway, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to say, "Oh, that's my man. Look at him. He's 6'2" and 300 pounds, and I love that guy."
I'm Irish. Not gonna happen.
And I mean, don't get us wrong. She may be a very sick woman. Like, we're not saying she'll be completely there.
Oh no! Shush! Don't say it that way. Don't say it that way.
But it doesn't matter. Her vagina will work just like any other ladies.
I'm gonna have to go offline just because of Greg being here.
Okay, do what you need to do. Just don't.
No, we're not going to go offline quite yet, but I'm just saying with Greg here, we might have to.
Yeah. Remember where this is all being recorded. I mean, I know I forget that a lot too myself. Anyway, there's a gal out there for you. Take no offense to that. We'll talk all this crap. Just let the live button turn
my
to
new
the
phone
not
came
live.
in today.
Are you still doing? I thought you were showing us your smoker thing, your vape thing.
My vape thing? No, I don't vape.
Oh, you need? Okay. Good man. All right. Right. I watch a bunch of these things. Okay.
I never really have ever smoked. I smoked the.
Oh hell.
But I was a high caliber athlete when I was in high school and university, so I never smoked.
Yeah. You tell me about that, right? Yeah, right. Think of this guy, right? He's oversized for the age, and he's gonna be a linebacker or whatever. Yeah, that's the man for the job right there. Let's get Chad on the job. Well, okay, I see in the comments. I'm so very late. Howdy, Average Joe. Sorry, I didn't mean to take over your show.
No.
Howdy, Average Joe.
I actually laughed when I read that from Joe.
Yeah, I just noticed it was going on there.
Yeah, no, when I played football, it was I transferred schools. I moved from Ottawa to Arnprior. Well, I moved to Braeside, so I went to Arnprior District High School. And back then, I was huge. That's back when I was doing Highland Games, before I was in full size, where I was doing the strongman. But I was doing the Highland Games. I was a shot put guy. I was a wrestler. I was a rugby player. And I was walking down the hall, and I was the biggest guy in the school. Like, I was short. Like, I'm like 5'7", 5'8", but I was almost 300 pounds of mostly muscle. I was walking down the hall, and their football coach was standing in the doorway. He goes, "Have you ever played football?" I go, "No." "Well, you're playing football." Okay. And he would just grab me by the face mask, and he'd be, "Hit this number as hard as you can." Okay.
All right.
I had no idea what I was.
That worked out well, and I liked you, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's way cool.
They loved me for that. They just would grab the face mask, like I said, tell me a number to hit, and I would go and hit that number. And
was that how Katangar's cook got his knees fucked up?
No, I didn't live down in the Niagara region yet. That was when I was still up in the Ottawa Valley. But we were playing all Ottawa Valley schools, so it was always farm communities, right? So I remember we were playing Almont, and I had my face mask grabbed, and my coach is like, "Hit number 31 as hard as you can." I'm like, "Okay, coach." And I like flipped the guy. Like, I hit him, and he went up in the air, and he just did a flip, and he landed on his face. The ball popped out. There was a fumble and all that. And then I'm standing there, and I'm giggling, and I hear a roar. And I turn around. I'm still kind of down in my crouch. And I turn around, and this guy from the Almont Raiders is coming at me, and his numbers, like, I was number 44, he was number 44, and he's coming at me screaming. I stood up straight, and I'm like, oh fuck, because even when I stood up straight, my face mask was like at his number. Like, this guy was a fucking giant pig farmer. And it wasn't that he was stronger than me. He was just bigger, and I was completely stopped at the time, and he just steamrolled me. But all the guys on my team were laughing because they're like, "We heard you say 'oh fuck' right before you got hit."
Yeah, I
realized what was about to happen.
Right, exactly. So,
You're about to get violated in ways you're not used
to. I never played football. My kid told me though. His coach taught him. He said crouch low and get under them, and when you come up, he said just explode.
Yep, that's what I did to their. That's what I did to their guy.
Just get under them, and you lift them off the feet at that rate, And these are like young high school students, so they got plenty of muscle and plenty of vigor, and he said we just get under them and just explode. You see people just pop up out of the whole lineup, which goes flying.
I remember, like, for shot put, I had absolutely no technique at all. It was just I was huge. Like, again, I was doing the Highland Games back then. So I would stand there, like everybody else would do the like spin and everything, and I'd just stand there and go, as hard as I could. Right? I didn't spin. I didn't do shit like that. Fuck that. That's too much work. I would still. I can
see this. Like, what are these little pansies doing? They're all spinning around. He says, "Rah."
I wouldn't usually take there was a couple firsts in track, but I wouldn't take first very often. But I would always medal, and people would just look at me because I just walk up to the circle, stand there.
You're right, man. You're right. That's funny, right? He said, "We don't need all this spinning crap. We're not dancing here. We're throwing shot put."
Exactly what it was. I'm not spinning around and looking like an idiot. I'm going to fall on my face and drop this on.
Right, like man up with this. Man up with this. He says, "Woof." I go shot put. Nice. That's funny. That's great. I love
it. I was one of my coaches called me a brick shithouse back then. So that's basically I walked like this. I had no neck.
Nothing wrong with
not that I have much of a neck now, but I didn't have one at all then.
Right. Well, that's my grandfather. Yeah. My grandfather didn't have much of a neck. He had a big old round belly, and he'd just say, "Hit me in my belly." Huh? Hit me in my belly, and I'd punch him. Boy, it was like about punching the fucking tabletop here. Just bam. There was no.
That's the thing too, right? Like a lot of people think that just because you're fat, your belly is soft as hell. There's a lot of guys that are actually rock solid. They just don't have abs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They got a keg instead.
Yeah.
Well, man, we've lost like all of our viewers. I think we're down to 3.
Tater chips. How many did you have while ago? I hadn't been paying attention.
Well, we had 11 at one point. I'm going to post the join link in the chat, and any of you that are on there that want to join can, but we're going offline now. That's the only reason.
Pretty sure Joe's going to join.
So here's the join link, and like I said, I'm only making it public, going offline right now. There you go.
All right. Adios. Post the chain down there.